Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be working on a customer quilt. I actually have two quilts of hers to do, and this is the first one I'm going to do. I'm just sitting here measuring the quilt top to see how big it is. It is 51 by 69.
And so it appears that I have two pieces for backing, and I will need to seam those together real quick so that I can put the backing on. So I actually like to take the salvage off where I'm going to piece it, because I think it ends up being a little too tight sometimes. So I'm just going to clip it and tear it, take the salvage off, and then do the other side same way where I'm going to join them together. And I don't really need this whole yardage. It's 51 inches wide by 69. So I am probably going to rip this, I don't know, probably 10 inches or so.
Actually, I ripped it about 20 inches and now I'm just ironing it.
You probably haven't noticed from my videos, but I do have my leader I'm using for my back. I'm actually using the leader that you usually put your quilt top on, and I never use this one. And the reason I don't is because if I have to get under my quilt, it's easier to see it when it's on this leader than when it's on this leader. And since I upload all my quilts and I only need the one leader, I use the front leader. So I'm actually going to load this quilt sideways because it's longer than it is widthwise. The length is longer, and so I can get it done faster, less pack. I just have to choose a design that's going to look good when it's quilted up sideways.
You can kind of hear some pounding in the background on the other part of the video, and that's my husband working on the floors.
So another thing I do, since I'm going to lay my backing over the back of my long arm, and then I'm going to slowly roll it up, making sure there's no creases in it. I also take this little bungee cord that I have and put it on my thing so that this doesn't move. Otherwise, it has a tendency to roll, and then when I'm rolling up my quilt or my backing, it'll roll with the fabric. So it just kind of keeps it in place. And I'm just trying to line up I have these mirrors on my back wall. I hated them when I first moved here, but they actually come in handy, so I can just kind of roll the backing until it meets the leader on the back, and then I can finish stapling it. So the staples are going through the fabric first and then the leader second, so it should look like that. So when I go to undo this, I can just rip it off and it'll rip off the staples with the fabric, and I won't have a problem. So now that it's all stapled on there, I can just finish rolling it up, and I can release the little clamps I have on it. And there you go, nice and straight and smooth, and it's easy. I don't have to measure the centers. I don't have to measure anything, and it took me exactly 8 minutes from ironing the backing after I sewed it and then putting it on the long arm. So the client provided me with some Quilter Stream cotton. This is a twin size 93 by 72. And I'm hoping that I'll lay it sideways, and then if I have some left, I can do her other lap size quilt with maybe just a little scrap. Can't see me. With just a little scrap I have. So we'll see how that goes. Wow, that actually went all the way through 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 layers of batting. That's pretty impressive.
It usually is easier to put the pre-cut batting on. You don't have to get on the floor, unroll the batting, and then cut it. But I don't know if the extra cost is worth it. I still like my batting rolls.
So I think I'm gonna do this little flower design on here. Like I said, nothing's really gonna show up. And I think this will be pretty easy, and I think it'll look cute. So the thread I'm going to use is this Omni thread, and it's just going to blend in. It's pretty much the same color as most of the piecing, so just have to find something that kind of looks good for the bobbin. So I ended up having to wind some bobbins. I wound 3 bobbins because I didn't have any light green pre-wound bobbins. So there goes that plan. That just means I have to check the tension on the bobbin. Usually, if you have the bobbin case, the tension right on the bobbin case, you don't usually have to change the top tension much. Some threads are a little bit different, but I have found most of my threads, they run about the same, but the pre-wound bobbins do take less tension on the bobbin case, and then the ones that are that you wind yourself do take more tension. So that's the difference. Anyway, I'm ready to start my E to E, and I put on my spoon foot because it's going to be much easier. I won't have the little foldovers when you're basting down the quilt, and we'll get started.
I need to tack down the top of the quilt, so I'm just going to set my basting stitch to 6 stitches per inch and baste the top and the sides down.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about something. I don't normally put a line down and then move my quilt top up to it and then baste it down. I do it sometimes, very rarely anymore, because I found that I can kind of get it straight and then just kind of move it a little bit with my fingers as I'm basting it down, and it seems to work fine. Now, she's had this quilt up for a while, and I think I'm going to put my little strap on to make sure I get the sides even. Because I can see it has a little bit of tendency to want to stretch a little bit, so we'll do that.
Right now I'm getting ready to set up my edge to edge, so I'm just making the boundary for the edge to edge.
So here's my edge to edge, and right now if I leave everything as it is, I have 4 repeats and 4 rows. Let's see what it looks like with one more repeat. So that's 5 rows and 5 repeats. I think actually this one will probably be fine for this quilt, so I think we'll just go with this. So like I said, it's not going to show up a lot, but I still think it'll look good. And even on the blue, it's not going to show up very much. I think it actually shows up less on the blue than it does on the green. Wondering what this is on top of my long arm. It's so I can put my phone on here when I'm filming. So I'm piecing the back of her other quilt she wants me to do, and she didn't think she had enough of this fabric, but it's going to work. So we're just going to, it's going to have to be pieced in 3 pieces, but it'll work. And so I just have to sew these 2 together, and then cut it down, and then sew it to the next one. So I don't do a lot of customer quilts, and she's my friend, so I don't mind piecing her back for her. think I can, I can do it while I'm quilting her quilt, so no big deal. I do have a lot of other stuff to do, but I don't care. It's literally going to take me 5 minutes to probably piece this back, so. There we go. Now I just need to iron this and sew it on to the other one. Oh, my quilting machine has been, my long arm has been quilting for about almost 30 minutes. And I almost got 2 rows done. I only have 4 rows to do. So hopefully it'll only take me an hour to do this little quilt. And then the next one with the pretty sunflower backing will be smaller. I think it's only 50 by something, 50 by 50, something like that. I just measured it, but I can't remember. Anyway, we'll show you how the quilting's going. So I'm on my 3rd row, and really, I just have this much to quilt, kind of maybe 3/4 of a row, I don't know, on the next pass. So it should go pretty fast. I just checked my bobbin, and it's still about halfway full, which is surprising for a 51 by 69 quilt. It is kind of a big pattern. It's about 14 inches each quilting motif. And she told me she pieced this a long time ago, but look at this. I mean, seriously, it is pretty straight considering, it was like one of her first pieced quilts. At least the quilt lays nice and straight. And I think it'll look good. So we're 32 minutes into it. It'll probably take about an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour to finish. Not bad though. So here's the next top I have to quilt, and I am going to surprise her, and I'm going to do a little bit of custom quilting on this. I think in the panel, maybe I'll just do lines for the background, and then I'll trace around each of the different elements, and then have to decide how I'm going to quilt it, because I don't know if I want to quilt on the buffalo. Maybe I go around the buffalo. Not quite sure yet. Or the fish, but anyway, it should be pretty easy. I'm just going to do, for the borders, I'm just going to do an edge to edge on the back for the borders, and then cut out the center, and then do this by free motion quilting it. Okay, I'm on the last row, and that's what it looks like on my screen. So there's almost a full row, just a little bit I had to cut off, and it's didn't really fit. I had to change the bobbin once. Barely going to use any of this bobbin. So 1 1/4 bobbins is what I used on this design. Time to unroll.
This quilt took about an hour and a half to finish, and that's including the prep time and everything else I had to do before I got started. So it was really fast and simple quilt to do, and it'll cost my client about $70.
All right, here's what it looks like. I think it turned out really good. I think it was the perfect amount of quilting for this quilt, and I think it turned out really nice. Thanks.